Hello, my name's Martin Lehman. I am talking to you about a tragic event that took place in Fort McClellan, Alabama from 1935 to 1999. Monsanto Corporation, now named Saluda, leaked toxic chemicals at the rate of 100 gallons a day for approximately 70 years. These chemicals were dioxins and PCBs, and they were used in making DDT and chemical agents orange, blue, white, and purple. And they leaked into the groundwater at the rate of 100 gallons a day for 70 years. I was exposed from August 1982 to December 1982 during my one-station unit training for basic training in military police school. Many of the people that trained and served there have developed autoimmune diseases, neurological disorders, cancers, and rare diseases of all kinds. All federal agencies deny any such exposure occurred. I provided the VA with evidence contrary to what they say, that we were exposed to dioxins and PCBs. I sent them approximately 1,600 documents and total access to my entire medical records, proving that I have the following diseases: systemic lupus, lupus nephritis, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, gout, bilateral carpal tunnel, depression, anxiety, cataracts, tinnitus in both ears, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, extremely high triglycerides, heart disease. I had a triple bypass in 2012, sleep apnea, obesity, and many other symptoms that are not yet diagnosed. I have severe itching everywhere at any time, tremor in my arms and my hands at any time, cramps in my backs and legs at any time, memory loss, difficulty focusing, forgetfulness, and inability to put names to common items and people, and I have marked stuttering at times, severe pain, and fatigue and weakness. Many soldiers and families are suffering pain, many of the very same or similar, even worse symptoms than I have. We've had two bills before Congress, and the present one is called H.R. 411, and it has been stuck in committee for quite a while. This bill is simply to notify the affected soldiers of this exposure so they can get proper care. We have a few in the House of Representatives that are trying to help, but there are more that are not, and they have been influenced by lobbyists from Monsanto and choose to ignore us. I emailed the EPA a couple of days ago and tried to get further documentation of the exposure at Fort McClellan. And basically he told me that it was impossible that I was exposed, or anyone else for that matter, because these toxins were upstream from Fort McClellan. Well, looking at a map, you'll find Monsanto and Saluda are approximately 6 miles away from Fort McClellan, Alabama, and the Anniston, Alabama Waterworks is about 3/4 of a mile from Monsanto and about 5 miles from Fort McClellan. Anniston, Alabama is approximately 4.5 miles from Summerall Gate at Fort McClellan, if that far. Groundwater does not move in the same way that surface water does. it moves outwards from a central source in all directions, and it doesn't follow the direction of topography as it does on the surface. It goes through ground soil by saturation. In 2006, the approximately 2,900 residents of Anniston, Alabama, received a settlement from the Monsanto Corporation in the sum of $700 million. Unfortunately, their greedy attorneys took $500 million for their service. There are many other toxins on Fort McClellan because it was the NBC post. That's Nuclear Biological Chemical Warfare Post and training area for the Chem Corps of the U.S. Army. It was closed down in 1999 by the EPA because of its toxicity. Yet the EPA says it wasn't. There was a Superfund to clean up Fort McClellan, and the EPA says I couldn't have possibly been exposed to any toxins. Nuclear material was buried on post as well. So many types, I can't list them all. And the amount of them that were there is unbelievable. And they were leaching into the ground and the water. Chemical agents were used, tested, stored there for decades, back to the First World War, when the advent of mustard gas and other toxins, later on VX gas and sarin, etc. So they're really uncertain to what all we were exposed to, and the possibilities of being tested with biological agents exists as well, because we really don't know on that. Being exposed to these substances doesn't show up right away. So we have no documented evidence of going to the doctors on the post for being sick. Although I did have pneumonia for 4 days, and the onset of it happened overnight, and the treatment I received was quite unusual. I had to drink 2 gallons of fluids every 2 hours. It was a fruit-tasting substance, but there were chemicals in it. We were quarantined. We were required to take a cold shower for 20 minutes at a time, every hour. We had temperatures of 104 degrees plus, and the treatment was as if we were very infectious. And as you well know, or most people know, that pneumonia doesn't appear overnight. It takes weeks for symptoms to build, and an upper respiratory infection comes before that. This appeared overnight, and there were 4 of us that happened to that day. So these exposures, they're not noticed right away. I didn't notice anything until, well, I've had first symptoms. I had gout in 1983. Then later on, I started getting unusual aches and pains, and I just blew them off as being I was overworking myself, and I didn't know where they were coming from. In 2000, I developed systemic lupus, and then all the diseases, or the diagnoses that were put into form of diseases, started to appear. And I've got many other conditions that appear, come and go. The VA says these conditions are not service related and that it's not their responsibility. I have so many people that are in the same boat that I'm in, and we're having issues, and very similar issues, all autoimmune type diseases. And they're not doing anything for us at all. And the VA, the ones that have VA care are in the worst boat, because they're basically going to an agency that's run by the government that says they didn't poison you, and they're being treated and probably misdiagnosed for things that are wrong to them, just in fact to cover up what has occurred. I serve my country honorably, and all I ask in return is the honor back, or that appreciation. I feel very betrayed. I've been very sick. I almost died in 2007 because of the treatment for the diseases that I have that depleted my immune system. And I got MRSA. I've had MRSA twice, and I got it both times in a hospital because I had they had to basically kill my immune system to make me better. People going to the VA hospitals, I feel sorry for them because I have private medical care and was able to get it through my work. But I see VA care akin to having Joseph Mengele of Auschwitz treating Jews for their illnesses. And the sad part of it is Monsanto and the U.S. Army knew about this leak, and at the rate it was flowing for at least 35, 36 years. I think they knew much earlier than that, but that's the earliest documentation I can find. But if they would have closed the Post in 1970-71 when they found out about this, I would not have been exposed to these chemicals in 1982. I just don't know what to do at this point. We need all the help that we can get. We're dying, or we're dead. And the sad fact of the matter is this affects our children and our children's children, because it somehow has altered our DNA, and the children don't show effects right away, but we've had many that have birth defects. We've had many that developed symptoms in their 20s. We need to do something about this. We need to hold someone accountable. If you can help us or help me in any way, if you have documentation or something that will help our cause, you can email me at bradel13@verizon.net. That's BRAIDEL13@yahoo.com. I thank you very much for any help you could possibly give us, because there's nobody out there listening, and we need to be heard. I thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful life.